this is Nate Miller from Digifx. Thank you for joining me. Let me go ahead and turn on the camera for a second. I was spending some time there trying to figure out the best way to stream. I'm not sure where to host stuff, whether on the internet or whether to host it locally or what makes the most sense, but it seems like I fixed a lot of that stuff, the transitions from all the videos and the countdown. Seems a lot better than it was before. So I'm happy with that. I'm your host, Nate Miller. Welcome to Digifx. Tonight we're doing a fun little pitch deck exercise. I did one earlier today. I streamed it. I'm just trying to figure out my broadcast system. Along with just showcasing some of our stuff. So, in front of me here I have digistudios.live. This is where we're streaming live at the moment. If you go to stream.digistudios.live, you should be able to see all the action that we're streaming right here. So if I go stream.digi, it's not secured yet. I gotta actually put some encryption there. But you should see me in front of me. Showcasing some more stuff. And there it is. And so that's our live stream right now. As you can see, if I go the other way, behind me. So funny how parallel universes work, right? But that is the destination. If you ever need to get to a streaming, I'm just going to stream it from there. And of course, this is just an embedded YouTube video, so you can also just watch it directly on YouTube later on. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to check out some of the Digifx's cool new stuff, and I'm also going to showcase my pitch deck to everybody. So, besides Digistudios.live, which is our umbrella company that hosts a lot of our entities here, and you see if I scroll down, you see different videos attached to the controlling counterparts. And I encourage you to check all those sites out and learn more about everything we've created over the past years. But inside, and on top of this, we actually have our Digifx site, and this is just digifx.com. And you can see we have more traditional digital media aspects to share with y'all if you're looking for some kind of work in this new age that we're living in, along with some other fun stuff. So go ahead and check that out. The links, the URL is pretty straightforward for this, digifx.com, and then DigiStudios is digistudios.live, as you see there. So, two places to learn and be in front of all our action, all the latest, greatest. That's where you want to go. So, what I wanted to do today is I kind of wanted to pitch and talk a little bit about my Oasis Core and practice my pitch, like I said. So, this is a one-pager in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and skip over this and go straight to the actual full-size white paper deck we have here. And to really have you understand why this is the way it is in terms of why we're talking about Oasis Core here as an RPG platform, you really have to understand the game that made it all happen. So without further ado, this is Oasis Live. Alright, so that was a fun little look at our first AR game. This is a showcase demo I have on the App Store. I figured I'd put that in there. And as you saw, I have a bunch of little scenes I've set up for our apps that I'll show you across this live stream here. And really, it's just to get me to exercise and share a lot of this stuff and share in a fun way, along with practice our broadcast system here. So, I'm also lit a little weird. I have two lights lighting the green screen behind me, but I don't have a third light in front of me, which is something I have to grab. I have plenty of lights around here, just not really that worried about it. But I am excited to start talking about our core system here. So Oasis Core is something that came about from Oasis Live. I decided that in my life that Oasis Live was a game, and whether it was successful or not, the technology that came from it was something that was valuable and could be used in many places. So I decided to break out and create a core that I could reuse for different entities in certain circumstances. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So here's just the table of contents of the different things that involves the core system itself. I'm not going to go through too much of this in detail, and I just show you this now to know where the sections are that you may be interested in. So as we get through the video, maybe later you can come back and scrub through everything and find where you want to read and learn more about what we do. But with that being said, let's go ahead and just move to the value proposition. Now, I'm not really going to read this. You can pause it and you can read it yourself. You can do whatever you need to do to really figure out what it is that... I'm also trying to center myself, huh? It's weird that my camera is so centered. That's center, huh? It doesn't look centered to me. Well, what I was talking about the value proposition. I'm just getting distracted because my camera looks like that's the center, but that's not the center of the screen. I guess maybe it's the way I have this set up. So if I go unlock this guy and I move myself over a little bit, so I'm trying to hide that key. That's a little better. Okay, so in this world we live in, we have an information age of data that's collected the past 30 years, since the 90s, since the dot-com boom, right? We have all this data we've collected, and we've been shared on spreadsheets, websites, you name it, things on a screen. So that's no different this day and age. We still do that. We still have smartphones, which are our main source of information. But what's happening is now we're coming out with these hardware devices that allow us to implement or showcase this data in a more visual fun factor form. I call it visual stimulant, and really what it means is instead of just giving you a graph or a number, a list of numbers and values, you can actually graph them out or 3D or use colors or shapes or visual forms of tracking information and data. And so that's where AR really plays a part in that field. There's a lot of third-party things you can use to really extend that. And shit. Problem I'm having with streaming is I've done this so many times, I'm getting tired. By the time I finally figure out how to make this stream smoothie, I'm already tired. I've tried to do this 10 times. So I might just casually go through this and then tomorrow try to do something better and more legit. But essentially the value here is that we're creating experiences for people to use these devices that are coming out. And so I go ahead and I explain some use cases actually within the value prop here and encourage you to read it and tell me what you think. So, the market. Well, really, there's different kinds of places we can deploy our specific core here. And so I have it broken down into when you have a brand, where do you go with it? And so the core itself is just a functioning platform that can create interactive and immersive things with the components we include in it. Now with that, there's three places you can really go with it. There's a generic white labeled brand or reasoning to where we can build out stuff and just sell it on as is to people or license it to people that want to use it. In this circumstance, you see we have theme parks. So a generic theme park XP brand can be worked in. And these other two, they might be switched around. Now, one of these is for a pitch. I was trying to pitch an app idea to Disney, so that's why it's called Disney XP. So this is the branded version or themed version. I think I actually have these backwards. The brand would be this, and then the theme would be the style of gameplay, which I think would be this, would be Oasis. So they're technically both brands and both themes. But I think in terms of the levels of how you would sell them, there's a hierarchy, and it's a little bit backwards there. But it's okay. And then the target market, these numbers have since been updated, so I'll wait and show you the actual numbers that I have in the later pages. But I will talk a little about this acronym I have. In order to get people enticed, I live off of this acronym called FACTS. It must be fun, addictive, competitive, have trends, and be sociable. And this is just really the fundamentals behind what I think really makes an idea work in terms of how you engage people from a psychological standpoint or like an interest. And I try to build this into everything I create. I think about all these 5 things here. And in terms of industry focus, so this is really geared towards my experience in Boston. However, this can go across the board anywhere, and you kind of have to tweak it for what's really big in your area. So games, we all know the big games, so I'm not going to necessarily rename those games as to explain what it is they are and what they do. We all know what the purpose behind them. Parks, in this circumstance, I'm talking about theme parks. However, you can just use regular parks, stadiums, you name it, anywhere where there's a lot of space and you can sprawl out. Tours, there's a lot of history and stuff in Boston specifically, so I'm building a few apps that are using the tourism map, specifically the Freedom Trails, something I'm really interested in. I'm going to be releasing that later this year. Technology, this is very broad because, it's all, technology is a very, very big, broad statement. There's a lot of tech out there. So what this really means is utilizing the hardware that we're creating to solve solutions within utilities and commercial grade areas, I think is what I mean when I say tech. It doesn't necessarily mean that the technology industry isn't using this or is using it. It's kind of like the tech that you create helps the tech you want to create in the future. And so think of it that way, like maybe future AR glasses will help you see and envision more technology. And you've seen a lot of this stuff with, like, when Microsoft first brought out the HoloLens and they pitched like the 3D motorcycle, like on the desk, I think is the commercial I remember. And you could model it and tweak it and then actually print it out in real and CAD through the visual headset. So then the medical and financial industry, medical, everything from training to surgery to you name it, and these are both very Boston-centric subjectives here. Financial, you're thinking about graphs, numbers, just crunching, budget, all the stuff that the finance, a lot of the stuff you see in Boston may be able to benefit from. So another thing to think about in terms of the visual extensions you can have with these industries. And so my plan is straightforward. Well, I'm not necessarily going to read all of this, but our Oasis core summary is designed and deliver augmented reality geolocation and character leveling ability that will immerse mobile users like never before. The core platform can be branded for specific markets utilizing components within the overall functionality. And what that means is the overall functionality does a lot of things. You may not need all those things for your specific endeavor, your use case, or whatever you're trying to create. So we can pull stuff out of the main master platform and just use specific stuff to keep it light and swift, but also have a specific goal in mind of what you're trying to accomplish. So all the other stuff is just your typical core competencies and business 101 things. So I'm not going to go through those. And if you are interested in reading this deck, I can share it with you. Just reach out. Launch time, pretty straightforward. So if I just zoom in a little bit, this is essentially what we just were talking about, but in a pitch deck form. So I'll just go through this real quick, because it is more visually, I think, engaging. And so Oasis Core, a platform for immersive technologies. The problem here is we're not truly actually utilizing the hardware in front of us. And that's really a statement I made specifically with the iPhone 11 and the newer ones coming out, the Android equivalents, is that these little devices here have a lot of power in them, pack a lot of punch. And for the last year, I've been trying to figure out how much I could really cram in them before they freeze, heat up. Luckily, none have exploded on me because I don't have a cheap phone here with a cheap battery. But they've gotten pretty hot, and it took me a while to really get my applications not to freeze up and stop working. Like Oasis Live, the app you saw before I showed you this, took me a long time to really crunch down and make it work on this phone. And it wouldn't even work on an iPhone 10, just to be honest. I had to get an iPhone 11. It was just the processor was the only thing that could handle it. It handled the GPU, like the 3D heavy stuff, better. And that's just the GPU, like how it processes the 3D. There's OpenGL, and then Apple uses what's called Metal. And it's just how it communicates between the application and the 3D objects, and how it like delivers it on the phone, so it uses less energy. But anyways, so another problem is there's a media disconnect, right? So is that people are getting more and more bored of the old ways. We got to find new fun ways to engage people, and that's a huge thing here because we do live in an AR digital remote world where we're no longer meeting face to face. We're now on screens like I am here, and because of that, we have to encourage and entice people to have fun with that to make up for the in-face aspects of real life, like just humanity, just being around people and being sociable. So to do that, we can create fun, interactive gameplay. We all know like meeting rooms, virtual meeting rooms, which have been around for a while now, stuff like that. This is our acronym I talked about earlier: the fun, addictive, competitive, to have trends and be sociable. And here I'm just talking about the different aspects of the core and different places. I would like to games, parks, and tours are really my interest in deploying my technologies and the game stuff we create. The market here, this numbers may not be correct up to date. I think when I made this, it was 6-7 months ago. So they're all pretty straightforward. Like 93% is pretty much a lot of is talking about connected games. So that means games that are connected to the internet, right? Where you have a user profile, you can plug in, you can cloud base, you can pull data, push data, save it, and load on any device. So that's pretty much majority of a lot of the games now. So if it's only local, you have to do it the old school way, like take it out, put it somewhere else, versus a cloud that syncs it to wherever it needs to be. Geolocation, 75%. That number may be around the same. I don't know. I know like it was a lot bigger when Niantic first released Pokemon Go, but with between that and Jurassic World, which are pretty much the two geo games that I've played, there are others, but those are what inspired me to create Oasis. If anybody's curious, I think that number's about right. AR, I think it's definitely coming up. I think the 68% is pretty safe. I do talk to some people that are anti like technology and they just don't even know what AR stands for, which in my mind is like over my head. It's like it's everywhere now. It's like augmented reality, and so I guess mixed reality is the new term too. But AR I think is definitely becoming more practical and use case centric with things that are casual visual extensions. And so that means instead of a big bulky headset that I would geek out with, the new world is looking for casual, more classical, stylized versions of AR headsets where they can use to see stuff, interpret data, and also be able to share certain experiences with their colleagues at work or wherever. Maybe they're behind a counter, maybe they're manager, who knows? But it's going to grow. It's going to continue to grow as we shrink down technology. And then the social engagement, that is 88%. That's kind of broad because what is social engagement? It can be anywhere from LinkedIn to Instagram to Snapchat to all the other YouTube, you name it. It's all, everybody's kind of on there. Even your grandma has an account. So that probably is even higher too. That's probably around the 90-somethings there. But the point being is that what we're talking about is reaching pretty much everybody. Besides the select few in the more niche markets, connected interactive games and ad experiences, immersive stuff is becoming the common norm, and that's going to be the common norm to come. So with that being said, focusing on this platform to do different things is really important to me as a developer, creator, and a business owner trying to tackle this market. So here is very similar to the industry insight in terms of the numbers for specific areas. They're big. They're big numbers. Like basically, and I also realized that I didn't update this pitch one right here. So this says trillion, and I think this one I changed to a more regional number here, but they are the same. I think this is based on like the Northeast or Europe. It was like part of the other ones globally, but 16 billion in tours, 22 billion in geoparks, 150 billion in gaming. This number is definitely higher. I just think I made it regional, but the point being is that there are a lot of early adopters in all of this for new ideas. So each early adopter may have a niche, but there's close to 100 million early adopters in just geotours alone, and I think that's really out of these three things here for me in Boston. That's probably my best bet moving forward is going on the tour route because we have a lot of historical significance here. Gaming too. Gaming's everywhere. That's more of a global thing. Parks, same thing. You can do park stuff here, but really when I think of parks, I think of like Disney World, Universal, really big places that can implement cool experiences. So the kind of hardware we're focused on is really three basic areas that we all know: virtual reality, mixed reality, smartphones. Virtual reality, Oculus Quest is what's shown here, but there's also HTC Vive. There's other headsets for VR coming out that will soon be part of feasible. Mixed reality, I own a Magic Leap one. I don't have a HoloLens, but this has been my focus. We all know the pivot that Magic Leap took because they were not having a lot of consumers buy their products. I'm somewhere kind of in the middle. I'm kind of a prosumer. I'm a professional guy, professional in media, but I also am a consumer. I consume a lot of stuff. So I'm probably on the borderline of somebody that would have bought their stuff. And there's probably not enough of me besides businesses that would buy Magic Leaps. And there's actually a fun video. It's not fun, but it was a sad video on The Price is Right where people are trying to guess the value of these headsets. And I think the top dollar was like $800. And so they didn't even understand or appreciate the value of it in the world, or the common shopper. So that's part of the problem, is that we're in a place to where the technology is becoming available, and the development and the creations we bring to the table will soon be used in some form, but the end user isn't going to throw one of these on their head and see it yet. So we have to wait until we crunch down these devices, make them cool, make them hip, make them trendy, make them very subtle and sleek. And sadly, although the Google Glass, I've never actually seen one in full action, but those were pretty sleek for their time. Now, they didn't really do much compared to what these are doing, and it was very light, but it had the same aspects behind it in terms of the technology and the data coming from you. And so it's sad that in that time people would totally were against those, because that's before cameras were a norm. But now that we live in this world where it's like 5 cameras on your phone alone, you can't really hide if and it's changed the perspective about wearables in my mind. I still think people are going to have a problem getting filmed if you go in the wrong places, but it's more acceptable to have cameras kind of hanging off you everywhere. It's a crazy world we live in, but that's just the way it is. So with Oasis Core, it's a very customizable system. Meaning, we have all these different things it can do. It's really just up to you as an individual and our team to decide what it is you want to accomplish, and we can build that into the application there. In this circumstance, you see I have a bunch of funny crafting, which probably isn't a part of this. If somebody was building an app, they probably wouldn't put crafting and social and camera filters and live broadcast together. These 4 things are kind of more social feed kind of thing you see, and these other 2 things I probably just highlighted to diversify the slide here. But you can get your idea of the customizable aspects of the app itself. It's just, these are just different things we bring in, we stack it on top of the main system itself, and we deploy them when needed. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to kind of pick and choose and mix and match based off of the ideas. And of course, if there's something that's not on this list, we will figure out how to implement it using the system that we have here. There's a basic timeline, some partnerships, our team, and our contact information here. So if you are interested in learning more about Oasis Core itself, this is our information. We are located in Fort Point in Boston. Here's our 800 number. You can reach me directly from there, or contact at digifx.com. I will see that, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Just give me a reason for why you're calling or mailing me, and we can go from there. Okay, so we're going to dive deep down a little bit more into components here. But before I do that, I think it's a good time to show you guys some fun stuff here that we got going on. And so, you know what? I'll just start reading through a little bit, because I actually want to showcase one of the apps when we get to that. So, geolocation, one of the big things we offer, and geolocation just means we are doing location data and interactive experiences. So I guess what I can show you here, since we're on it, is I can show you the map view. So this is our Oasis Live Geo map, and as you can see, has a bunch of different skins, mapping systems, so we can diversify the map system itself. All these dots represent a location data point that we're pulling from the API system through Google Maps. And not only do we get information we can use, but we can also add 3D objects, and in the circumstance of Oasis Live, put instant portals or instant gateways to environments like I showed you before in the demo in the beginning of this video. So it's a very powerful thing here, and this is just a little quick demo showcasing the skin and the flexibility of like theming it a certain way. There you see we have the control set up for it, but also just the information that is populated on a global scale, on a global level. So that's placed in the north end, Neptune Oyster, you probably know that. And these are just random places I'm clicking, but I'm not placing those data points. I am just pulling the information and then propagating stuff on where that data point sits. So it's a pretty powerful thing, and that's a big part of the geolocation of a game, is being able to propagate stuff, information, wherever you go. So imagine the use cases for that. This, what I just showed you, is kind of showing you everything, but imagine you just want to know where, the coffee shops would be a cliche because everybody kind of already has that, but like something that's very specialized, like maybe like a gym's pretty generic, but stuff like that. Maybe you want to know where all the gyms are and you want to do something cool with like gym times, gym openings, or maybe there's something you can stack on top of the API system. So anyways, sky's the limit. It's very powerful, and that's a fine example of it in action, geolocation, what it can do. And so augmented reality, we've talked a lot about that because that's a big part of what Oasis Core is. It's an immersive experience system that augments or places or composites 3D objects in the real world for you to interact with. And they're not just 3D objects you can look at, you can actually interact with them, tap them, do stuff through controls or through gestures. It really depends on the hardware you're using. But this is kind of a representation of that happening, a 3D object coming out of your phone there. And then along with our core system, we have an inventory management system, a character leveling system, an active quest system. This is all part of Oasis Live system in the game itself. NPC controllers. NPC stands for non-player controller. That's essentially like a bad guy or an enemy monster within a game that's going to come after you. All-weather system for if you have some kind of AR environment or some kind of game where you have to have different weather come up or experience. And then, of course, the ways you make money, in-app purchasing, paid advertising, is something that we build into all our applications if applicable. I will say paid advertising and advertising, it all depends on how you want to place it, but this is usually the easier step. In-app purchases require a little bit more effort in terms of constructing the hierarchy of how you're going to make money and charge people for items that are valuable within a game. I have 2 apps I'll show you that have in-app purchases, and I set them up. It took a little bit extra effort, but it wasn't as hard as I thought it would be the first time. Unity Game Engine is one of the game engines we use to build a lot of our experiences. We also use Unreal for VR and other gaming stuff as well, and I've used other game engines, but I mentioned Unity here because Unity is a big part of the Oasis. It does function under that, but it is not the only game engine we use for the Oasis Core. And here you see we just emphasize the other stuff under the hood. That's missing an N there. I do know components, not components. Firebase integration, cloud integration, those are just basically Google Cloud technologies. The player profiling and the management we talked about. The connected game, 93%. That's really what that stuff is. All right, so the devices. We went over that in the pitch deck, so I won't go through that too much. But I will get into the prototypes. And I'm going to stop it right there. And we are going to talk a little bit about our prototypes here. So I showed you Oasis Live. I am going to go into more detail about every single one of these apps. I just showed you a quick breeze in the beginning. But what I'll do now is I will connect my phone to my cord, and I will try to share my AR space app with you. Last time I tried doing this, I didn't have enough room on the table to actually augment the planets, and so it was not working as well as I thought it would. Okay, so I just gotta open QuickTime real quick and get this set up, and we will just do it right here. I'll just go ahead and minimize my browser here for a second, and I will go ahead and save file. So one cool thing about QuickTime is that you can obviously share your screen. The way you do it is you go to File, Create New Movie, and give this a second. It is freezing up on me. Okay, so there's our movie, and I'll just kind of drag this down, make sure it's set up before I show you anything. Come on, QuickTime. Just kind of the endless loop of death here. I finally improved my streaming a little bit. I was having issues with sharing those videos that I was trying to show in the beginning. It took me all day, and what happened was I ended up hosting them on my server so that they get access faster from YouTube. But the way it works is with the broadcast system, stuff is saved locally, then it gets streamed to YouTube, and that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing like local stuff, but some of the stuff I'm showing you is coming from the servers back down to my computer and then back up to YouTube. So you really had to decide what makes most sense for you. All right, so I don't know why this is. Let's try this here. On QuickTime. Okay. So sorry about that. Just can't seem to get QuickTime to recognize my phone. Always something. 12270. Alright. Alright. Come on. I don't want to save it, I want to delete it. Okay.
to your escape room. Please note that all members will be forbidden to leave the room until all tasks are complete. If you have an emergency or concern, please consult one of your room guides. Best of luck. You have precisely 30 minutes to complete the following task.
Hello, this is Nate Miller from Digifx, and today I want to share with you an example of a portal doorway we've built into our Oasis Core platform. What you see in front of you here is just a space scene that we built out as an example, and I've gone ahead and placed the doorway within this hallway as it acts as a good anchor. So to get started, you just move the doorway along the planes that are generated, and then once you have a good placement, you can go ahead and move forward into the doorway. So I have a place, so I'm going to start moving forward, and as you can see, the door stays anchored to the ground, and once you move to the portal to the other side, you're now on the instance level. So if I turn around and look around, you can see the environment now surrounds me, and you can interact and play with activities within each instance. much, but we're looking to partner with people that are actually experts in it, to do it better than we can with specifically better materials and drones, because surveying is a lot of it is just programming the drone and the drone does its stuff. But yeah, you do have to be a licensed person, know what you're doing. By the way, I'm licensed to fly drones commercially. So here's some more Digifx proposition stuff, similar to the core competencies. I'll skip that. Types of animation. There's all types of animation. Motion graphics, 2D, 3D animations, all very similar, using motion tweens and keys and then the sequences. And then there's mechanical animation, which is more machines. Rigging, facial rigging, skeletal rigging, particle animation, character controllers, all add-ons to like a 3D object to actually bring it to life. And we do all that. Here's this Digifx pitch deck, and I will just zoom it in for you a little bit. This is something, a motto I stated, or this is a statement I made a while back. I'm going to say this is from 2016, so 4 years ago I made this deck. Yeah, that's why it's aiming for 17 as the new year. But some of the traditional stuff we offer at Digifx, you can see I laid some stuff out there. And I'm not going to show you my portfolio here, but I will say if you are interested in seeing a lot of the stuff I've created, this is outdated by probably by 2 years. There's probably 2 years of stuff I haven't put on here yet. I should say that this is from a year ago, but a lot of fun stuff, a lot of hard work, a lot of different design that I put into my life in tech, in different companies, through companies, and through myself that I have up here. So check it out. A lot of good things here, including some stuff I didn't mention today in the video, like a lot of cool motion video that you may find intriguing. Here's some Creo videos I produced for them, for their Creo 4 launch. Yeah, along with some other tech-related endeavors through companies. So that's that. I'm going to skip down through here. All right, I'm going to go to my skill deck. That's just personal stuff. So this is my skill deck. I have dabbled in all these before. Am I a master at most of them? Probably not, but I understand them and I use them. And I know people that are really good at them, if I'm not. But yeah, I basically, part of being a Digifx entrepreneur, startup guy, is I've dabbled in a little bit of everything to understand how it works. Through like just using or just being a producer, just understanding everything, bringing stuff together, being resourceful. And so because of that, I've generated a lot of skill sets. And all of these things, you can't read them, but they are all specific programs that I've tied together in some way to be a part of the Digifx system, part of the campaign strategy. So the PDF version, you can zoom that in and see it, but I forget what each section means, but they're all very relevant in terms of overall business structure and business. If you had a big corporation, you'd have a bunch of people in these different areas. Skill deck, I'm not going to read it. You can kind of look through it real quick with me. I have them broken down into different aspects. I just realized now that this is lowercase and this is all uppercase. So those are little things that when you're building it, you don't realize it, and you go back and go like, oh, it's messed up. And trust me, there's plenty of those. I got to spell check all of this at some point and redo it. Oops. So game development, mobile development, digital marketing, networking, domain management, print concepts, UAV technologies, custom hardware. I built all that stuff, done it. I like building these little ground stations. They're fun. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's these are future technologies I'm interested in, and along with some legal stuff for non-disclosures if it was applicable here. But yeah, so that is pretty much my deck. Now, this has been a practice run. It's a long deck. I had to fish through it. I think the real one, I'll actually take the time, break it up, and talk a little bit more about each section. but I wanted to just throw this out there, get feel my broadcast system out, and really get good at doing this, because I've been building, creating, and developing for so many years. I kind of forgot how to sell stuff. I don't know if I forgot, but I need to get better at selling the stuff I've created. So that's part of this exercise, plus using my new broadcast stuff, plus creating new opportunities. It all comes hand in hand, comes back around to something eventually. So that is our pitch deck. And if there's any questions, or if you actually want a copy of this, I will send this out to you. Just reach out, and I can give you a copy for this, or send you a link to where it is. It's actually embedded on the internet, but I don't just give that out to the internet on a live stream. If I give it to you, it's because there's a purpose there. So what's this in here? That's the manifest. The other thing I could say, if you are interested in Oasis Live, the app, the geolocation version of that, there's a way to sign up for that. If I can. Okay. So you can go to Oasis Live, oasisapp.live. It's a .live, so it's kind of backwards, but I couldn't get the oasislive.com. So maybe that's going to be hard for people to find, but here it is. You can sign up for the app, add yourself to the mailing list. I won't spam you. I'm just going to send out stuff in the upcoming months and years of stuff we do with the game. This is going to be where it is until we get something better. So that is the way to link and get involved with Oasis Live if you're interested in the actual app itself. Everything you kind of saw, all the apps are based off the Aces core system. So it's a very diverse system you saw. There's a lot of different stuff we can do. Besides besides the Connect 4 one, that's different altogether. That's just coded. No AR in that, no Geo in that. It's just a typical sitting around game, but just as fun. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go ahead and fix all this stuff that needs to be fixed here and try to stream again tomorrow at some point or later next week when I have it all figured out. But anyways, this is Nate Miller from Digifx. I want to thank you for joining me. Until next time.